Hey everyone, this is Johnny, and welcome to episode 96 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Here with Chris Reynolds from theentrepreneurhouse.com. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm actually leaving in exactly an hour to go over to Pi to join the circus. So
Oh, you're doing the circus hostel.
yeah,
I've heard of this.
They're actually having a juggling convention there this weekend. So just to get out of the city, I decided, hey, I just learned how to juggle, so why not go?
So one of the guys that stayed with us in Barcelona, his good friend runs a circus hostel. His name is Russ Hughes, another online entrepreneur guy. I haven't met the circus hostel guy. Do you know him?
No, never been there, never heard of them. So I'm excited that they're starting this.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you been to Pi?
No.
So,
Tried to
yeah.
once, but we didn't make it.
Yeah. What happened that?
Well, you know James Farrar?
Yeah.
He led us on a dirt bike trek to Pi, and after 3 days, we never made it an hour and a half outside of Chiang Mai, yeah. And our bikes just kept breaking down now.
I actually heard about this adventure. So there's a bunch of jungles and mountains right out of Chiang Mai on the way to Pi, which is this small mountain town, and the trail that they wanted to do was this kind of a super advanced, hardcore dirt bike trail, which would be fine if you had like a team. You know, you had a team with spare parts and like a mechanic, and you guys were all professional riders. But some of you were just brand new, right?
Yeah. There were a couple that were just fresh off the boat, and they had some struggles. And so about every 500 yards or so, somebody would fall down, and we'd have to help them up. Then a mirror would break off, when the bike fell over, and then one guy forgot to bring water or eat breakfast, and we have these big heavy coats on to protect us, and helmets and jeans, and so we're sweating in the middle of the jungle, just sweating, and one guy's going through heat exhaustion. And but the good thing is like we applied this, we were a good team. We were all strong-minded people, and we helped each other through it. And everybody still, nobody regretted the trip at all. But it was a little bit of an ego bruiser because we only made it an hour, and we were supposed to do like 3 days into the jungle, go through Pi, go up by the border of Burma. And we only made it like an hour and a half outside of Chiang Mai.
It would have been cool if you guys made it all the way, but at the same time, it's about the journey. It really is, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so cool about everything we do, whether we do it here in Chiang Mai or in Spain or somewhere else in the world, is all these different places have different journeys.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually one big reason why I want to start traveling more this year, is because I've gotten very comfortable in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
And even though there are these cool things like, I haven't been dirt biking, but I went on an ATV ride, and through the same jungle, but with the guide, so they can take care of anything that breaks.
Yeah.
So it's that stuff is super fun, but at the same time, like day-to-day stuff, even just getting around, trying to find a bus to the next city, all that was an adventure. So these are the things that I kind of miss.
Yeah. It's a big journey, right?
Yeah. So tell me about the Entrepreneur House. How did that start, and kind of what's that about?
So I, a year and nearly a half ago now, I had a guy named Eric Paquette come to Barcelona and live with me for a month. And at this time, I had been traveling the world for 3 years. I lived in Costa Rica. I lived in Peru, all over Spain. And it was the first time I had another like-minded entrepreneur live with me. And while life in Costa Rica was great, I lived near the beach, had a 2-bedroom house, had monkeys swinging in the yard in the morning when we woke up. It was still, I was missing something. I was missing that like-minded communication and friends. And so when I arrived in Barcelona, I met some other entrepreneurs, and Eric needed a place to stay for the month. And so when he stayed, we set all kinds of goals to work on for the month. We pulled numerous all-nighters, working till 6 a.m., pushing each other. We practiced a different language every day, 5 days a week. We worked out together. We went and had fun together and saw the city. And like our productivity, just being around each other, skyrocketed. And it was an amazing experience. And I thought to myself, and there's guys and girls all over the world that need this camaraderie. And so I put a post out on a forum, and I said, who wants to come to Barcelona for 3 months and work away our goals, enjoy the city. I put the highlights about the city, what I loved about it. And so it got really good feedback. And so the following, this past February 2015, We had pretty much 12 people come to Barcelona. 9 of them lived in the apartments that I set up. And we did masterminds, we did goal setting, we had fun together, we saw the city, we went to the mountains together. And it was incredible. And everybody said, I just did this for fun, as a fun little project. And everybody said, you got to do this more, make it into a business and snowball it and get more people to Barcelona and different cities. And so we had there was a big conference coming to Barcelona in the summer. And so I knew some other online guys would be there. And so I set up a house for June, one for June and July, then one for August, and then one for August and September. And over that time total now, we've had in Barcelona, I think there were 38 people that came and stayed with us. And this whole time, people are growing their businesses, people are making partnerships, people are creating products, people are just enjoying Barcelona, a new city. And
I think that's awesome, because Barcelona is one of those places where maybe it is like easy to, relatively easy to get around if you just show up, but it's not like Chiang Mai where it's super established, where you can just show up and get plugged into a network.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk more about Barcelona, but I haven't been to Spain, so it's going to be very unfair if I judge if I say one is better than the other.
Right.
But just from what I can tell so far, and what I've heard, it's one of those places where it has the potential to be a huge digital nomad hub as well.
Agreed, yeah.
But right now, it's much easier if you have someone to kind of show you the ropes.
Exactly. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
That's cool. So how many of these Entrepreneur House events have you put together now, and where have they been?
So 5, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Barcelona and 1 here in Chiang Mai. And these are the 2 cities, and then we're going to Rio in the future in January.
Very cool. And so far, just kind of, and it's cool. We actually have one of your guests here, Aaron Nunez. So we're gonna hear from him in a minute. But just from your impressions and kind of what other people have said so far, like have any of them actually been to both Barcelona and then here to Chiang Mai?
2 of the guys. So Aaron here and another guy, Steven Vanderpel. Both of them wanted to come to Asia and Chiang Mai and check it out, and so they came to the house here.
Okay. So Aaron, what made you decide to go to Barcelona? Then what made you decide to come here to Chiang Mai, and why did you do it through the Entrepreneur House and not just on your own?
So let's see. I think I was traveling. I just finished coming back from Colombia, and it was last Christmas, and I got a call from Chris, and we'd known each other for a few years, and so he knew what I was doing. I was traveling and working at the same time. He liked what I was doing, and he just told me about the Entrepreneur House and getting a group of guys together to live together, to brainstorm, to hang out, to explore, and that sounded so much more fun than traveling by myself. And so, yeah, basically just I was like, cool, I'm in. So I did it. I loved it, and then at that point, he told me he was doing a Chiang Mai one, and it just kind of fell into place.
Okay. And so have you heard of either? I'm sure you've heard of Barcelona, but have you heard did you know much about Barcelona or Chiang Mai before you decided to sign up for these things?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
And where are you from?
From Texas.
Okay. So you just heard, hey, there's a bunch of entrepreneurs getting together. This place called Spain or this place in Thailand.
Right.
Let me just check it out.
Right. But for me, I love the business lifestyle. I can talk about business all day long. And so I do the marketing side of my business. And so getting together with a group of like-minded guys that's just like a dream. That's a dream lifestyle for me.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. And that's why I think there's such a big place for things like this, where to me, because I've been traveling for 7 years now, it almost doesn't make sense. I'm like, why don't you just show up? You can just, show up, walk around, maybe you'll meet some people. And to me, that's kind of part of the adventure. But I also remember the very first time I traveled, I wanted to know where I was going to be, where I was going to sleep, what I was going to eat. So I can definitely see the benefit of that as well. What do you think of, what are the differences? What are the pros and cons of Barcelona and Chiang Mai so far?
So Barcelona, they're completely different. Like you said, Chiang Mai is so super easy to get plugged into the system. I come here, and it feels like, as Chris said, it feels like a college campus. You can walk around, you see people you can easily just, at camp or their co-working spaces, it's easy to meet people, and it's just super easy to meet people. And what I really like about Chiang Mai is the outdoor lifestyle. So we have the mountains super close, and we went downhill mountain biking. We did, like as Chris said, we went dirt biking too. So I really enjoy that side. We also went cliff jumping over here in their like mini Grand Canyon over here in Chiang Mai. That was fun too. They have a lot of outdoor activities, and it seems like these are my people. Like the people that are hanging out here like to do active stuff and also like to talk business. So for me, that's what I like. Barcelona was cool. It was like it is a big city. And so what was really cool about experiencing the Barcelona house is, it was kind of hard to get plugged in. So we felt like together we were our own tribe. So we would go out together. We'd stick together. And so we actually grew a really close bond. And at the same time we were able to network, and we met some really cool guys, other entrepreneurs in Barcelona. Barcelona's cool. It's just, they have the beach. So I was playing ultimate frisbee on the beach. I think the dating scene for me is a little bit better over there. My kind of girl is, there are more of them in Barcelona. So I think there are a lot more diverse, girls in Barcelona. So, and then the party lifestyle is definitely, it's definitely more intense in Barcelona. I mean, they don't start partying till like 10 o'clock or they don't finish dinner till 10 o'clock and they go till like 5 in the morning, which, it's, for some people that's good.
Actually one of the reasons why I like Chiang Mai so much is the fact that things close early, so people start early. So last night I was hanging out and I was actually buying my bus tickets so I can go to Pi today. Mm-hmm. And I was at a hostel just buying some tickets, and I met this group of Dutch people, and it's like 7 o'clock or something, and they had just came back from the bottle shop with Sprite and some mixers and some vodka. And I kind of just jokingly said like, "Oh, are you guys starting already?" And then they said, "Yeah, because the bars close at midnight. So we have to start now."
Right.
And to me, that's perfect, because they actually said, and they said it's perfect because they get to go to sleep early. They're not as hungover in the morning, and they can actually still do stuff in the morning. Mm. So to me, that's perfect. And I've always been kind of a morning person, and I understand not everyone's like me. So there are going to be people who really like that night owl lifestyle, where they like going for dinner at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and then partying until the morning, till 5 a.m. But it is not me at all.
So, I know what you mean. Yeah, and so I don't like to party late either. And so the culture in Barcelona is like it pushes you to stay out later and later, which it's fun to do for a little bit. But either way, you can stay active. Go to the beach and play volleyball, swim. So there are a lot of things to do during the day as well.
So what about cost of living? So I'm assuming with the Entrepreneur House, the cost of your apartment is included already?
Mm-hmm, right.
So what about just other expenses like food or going out? Which one was more?
Oh, I mean, the cost of living in Thailand is like half. In Barcelona, I would cook for myself, go out a little bit. But in Chiang Mai, it's so cheap. I don't cook at all. I just eat out all the time, which typically, like if you're in the States, eating out all the time would, you could definitely spend a lot of money. But here, I eat out all the time. I don't cook anything. And we rented dirt bikes for like $25 a day. $25 a day, and we had a dirt bike, and we were in the mountains. So that was super cool. And so as far as cost-wise, Chiang Mai.
Okay, nice. So Chris, I'm curious. So now that you've been to both, would you do another Entrepreneur House? Are you going to do them in both cities now, or is there one that you prefer to do them in?
I'm doing it in them both in 2016. Yeah, I'm planning on another Chiang Mai house this time next year, and then four-ish in Barcelona over the summer.
Okay. So like what type of people would you recommend the Barcelona versus the Chiang Mai for? Like which one would be better for what type of person?
The only thing I could say is that it depends on where you want to go. Some people haven't experienced Europe, or they really love Europe. And what's great about Barcelona is like some of the guys and people that stayed would do a weekend trip to Amsterdam or to Pamplona for the running of the bulls, or to Morocco or something like that. So you had all those European cities that were really close and fairly cheap to travel to. So that was great if you want to see Europe. Asia is much different and still cheap to fly to. So you can go to Saigon, for a weekend trip, or anywhere really in the area, which is great too. I wouldn't say, I don't know, would you say is a different type of people attracted to different cities? My suggestion would be like, it's whatever you're ready for. If you're ready for Asia, come check out Asia. If you're ready for, if you love Europe, Barcelona is a great city to experience that at.
I think that's a great point. And also, Like, for example, I never really wanted to learn Thai, even though I've been here for so long, and I can speak enough to order food and just be polite. I never had a deep desire to invest time to learn the language, because I know it's not useful anywhere else in the world.
Right.
But Spanish is.
Right.
So if I lived there, I would actually take my time and learn Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it was a great city to practice Spanish. A lot of people in Barcelona speak Catalan too, so you can pick up a bit of Catalan, which is useless anywhere outside of Barcelona. But yeah.
Okay. I like it. So have you traveled much outside of Spain to other parts of Europe?
Yes. Europe. Yeah. So I've been to England, the Netherlands, Croatia, Italy, Germany, France, Morocco's right there, Switzerland, and Austria.
I think that's the cool thing, and you brought this up a second ago, is if you're based in anywhere in Europe, it's so easy to get around.
Yeah.
So that's why this summer, I don't know exactly where I'm going to be yet, but I'm definitely going to be in Europe. And I think I'm going to take advantage of the full 90 days that we get as U.S. citizens to just be in Europe without a visa.
Yeah.
What, like, I guess for visa situations, for almost every single country, for, you know, the US, Canada, Australia, England, well, England's part of Europe, so you can kind of just do whatever you want. But for the other Western countries, they can just go to Spain for 3 months at a time, right?
Yeah. But you're a U.S. citizen, yeah?
Yeah.
So I have a hack for that.
Okay.
Have you heard of a duplicate passport in the
No,
US?
how do you do that?
Okay, so it's really easy, especially for guys like us. I have 2 U.S. passports, and they grant this loophole for U.S. citizens for 2 reasons. The first reason, if you travel to Middle Eastern countries, there's other Middle Eastern countries that won't allow you to go to that country because you've been in Israel, for example. So then you can have 2 U.S. passports if you want to travel to like Israel, Pakistan, anywhere in the Middle East. The second reason is, and this happened to me, I was in Barcelona in 2014. I had a trip to Ghana planned. What I had to do is I had to physically mail my passport back to the U.S. to get a visa to go to Ghana, and then it had to be physically mailed back to me in Barcelona. And it got lost in a Spanish mail system on the way back, and I missed my trip to Ghana. So for people that travel abroad months out of the year, that's another reason to get a second U.S. passport. So now when I go to Europe, I go in on 1 passport for 90 days, and then I'll travel to Croatia or Morocco or somewhere, Eastern Europe, and then I get stamped out, and then I come back in a couple days later on the other passport.
Wow.
So I can stay there a year round on that passport.
Never heard of this. This is super cool. How do you get this second passport? Like, do you say you've lost it, or do you have to say you just want a second passport?
It's completely legal, yeah. And so I used there's 2 third-party companies that I know about. Actually, Chris Reynolds talks about this on one of his blog posts. You can use this company. I used abriggs.com or visahq.com. And you contact them and you just ask them about a second passport. And the regulations to get it are very easy. You need a flight itinerary. I didn't have an itinerary. All I had was a flight leaving the U.S. to London. And I told them, I wrote on a piece of paper what I thought my itinerary would be for the following year. And you need a handwritten letter of why you need the passport, and then a typed letter of something like I don't know, there's a type letter, but it was easy. And then I sent it in to the third-party company. They're across the street from the people in Washington that process the second passport. It's a different passport number. It's a different photo. It's a completely different passport. The only difference is it lasts only 2 years instead of 10 years. And then they send it back to you, and you have 2 U.S. passports. And it's just a smart idea for digital nomads anyway to have a second passport to bounce around in case you lose one. You know, there's less risk on our part. And I know one guy who actually had to turn in. He got the second passport that lasted for 2 years. He had to renew it, and when they renewed it, they sent him back another passport for 10 years. So then he had 2 passports that were for 10. The validation on them were for 10 years.
That's amazing. I've never heard of this. I'm so happy to have you on because this is going to be my ultimate hack.
Yeah.
My first idea was I want to spend more than 3 months in Europe this year. So I was going to spend 90 days in the Shenzhen area,
Yeah.
and then 90 days in the non-Shenzhen area.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know what countries that are not part of the Shenzhen Union I'd want to be in.
Croatia is a great one. Basically, it's Western Europe versus Eastern Europe for the most part. There's Bulgaria. Aaron went to Bulgaria after he was in Barcelona. I think Poland's in Schengen.
Poland's now part of
Yeah.
the Shenzhen, yeah. Because I would have went there because that would have been cool.
Ukraine.
Don't want to go to Ukraine.
Okay. But there's Slovakia, Slovenia, Bulgaria, a bunch of countries over there.
I've actually heard good things about Bulgaria. So do you mind kind of talking a little bit about that, Aaron?
Let's do it. Yeah, I was there for 2.5, 3 months. So I stayed in. I mean, Bulgaria is not one of those like sexy places that that you want to go to that people are talking about. And every time I tell people I'm going to Bulgaria, they'll be like, Bulgaria, like, why Bulgaria? Well, I decided to go there because I have a friend who lives there with his wife. They've been living there for a couple years, and I know from traveling that it's most of the time it's a lot more fun when you know somebody who lives there. So I go to Sofia, and we just have a blast. He also works from home, and he's also a musician. And so put those two together, and there's like nonstop music, and his wife's a singer, and so like nonstop there's music jam sessions. So we stayed in Sofia. So we dove into like the music scene in Sofia. There's not a ton of stuff to do, but Sofia has everything you need. It was pretty inexpensive. Our cleaning lady, we paid her like $2 an hour. She'd clean and cook for us, authentic Bulgarian food. We also went to Varna, which is the beach city in Bulgaria, and we also went to Beli Iskra, one of the mountain towns in Bulgaria. So Bulgaria has, what's cool is that they have the sea. I mean, they don't have like big waves for surfing or anything, but they do have the sea, and they do have big mountains. So they do have skiing in the wintertime, and they do have downhill mountain biking in the summertime, and it was fairly close to Sofia. So I really enjoyed it.
I like that. I've actually heard from a few different people that Sofia is like the hidden hotspot for digital nomads. So just kind of rapid fire questions. Cost of living, internet speed, other digital nomads, networking, those kind of things.
Right. Internet speed, fantastic. Definitely better than the States. It's not as good. So if you have the super Wi-Fi like with AIS, it's like over 100. So it's not like that, but it's definitely like upload, download, at least 30. And then digital nomads, there are definitely some, you kind of have to find them. It's not as central as Chiang Mai. You just come to this neighborhood and like walk and you'll see them. You do have to find them, but with some networking, you can easily find the digital nomads. And what was the other question?
Cost of living.
Cost of living. So it's between Barcelona and between Chiang Mai. So, I guess to compare, like going out to eat here, I spend like $2 and it's like a complete meal. In Bulgaria, it would be like $5 for a complete meal. Barcelona, you go out and it's like $8.
Okay. I checked that out as well. I mean, it's so crazy how much option we have. I think the only thing that's actually limiting is the amount of warm months there are in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think ideally I would spend the whole winter, so 6 months in Thailand, and then like 6 months in Europe somewhere, whether it be Berlin or maybe Sofia or maybe Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have some friends now in Lisbon, Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
and that they said it's a kind of hidden hotspot as well. Have you been there?
I have not. Yeah, I have a friend that lives in Lisbon too, and he really loves it.
Yeah, they say it's only about 10% more expensive than Chiang Mai, which means it's super dirt cheap.
Yeah.
People are very friendly. It's a nice place, and they have tons of co-working spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna check it out because I have friends there, and I don't know. I think I'm excited. I've decided I'm keeping my apartment here in Chiang Mai for a whole year. So I don't know if I'm gonna just keep it empty or maybe I'm gonna Airbnb it or find someone to stay here. And I'm going back to the U.S. for Christmas. So I'm gonna get a 6-month multiple entry visa, and that way I can kind of come back and forth from Thailand whenever I want. And now, after talking to you, I'm gonna apply for that second passport. So if I want to stay in Europe longer, hopefully I can do that. So I'll kind of report back on how all that goes. What are your plans, Chris?
So I leave tonight. I head to San Francisco for a day, and then up to Northern California on a ranch to do some like goal setting, personal development classes. which would be cool. And then I go to Missouri, where I'm from, for Christmas for 5 weeks. On the 16th of January, I head down to Rio. We're doing a house there for 2 months until the end of March. And then back to Barcelona for some more entrepreneur houses in April.
What were you doing before Entrepreneur House, and are you still doing that?
Yes and no. Lots of things. So yes and no. I'm doing them. I run a personal development, like inspirational blog called The One Effect. I've done niche websites, where you put Google AdSense up on the side of it, contracting work online, and some translating and little things here and there. Okay. I started working online, I guess, in 2009. Started building stuff online, and then moved to Costa Rica in 2011.
Nice. And I think the Entrepreneur House it's cool that you've kind of found not only a need, but something you seem like you really enjoy putting together, and it can also be a business.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest highlight for me in this project is bringing people that are just like us from all over the world to bond, have incredible create incredible stories together, and we really form like a little like we become like brothers or sisters. And we formed like a little family. Like when we were, one of the guys that stayed in Barcelona with us, he was like, I felt like I was with family because we would have Easter together. We would do Saturday, Sunday night dinners together. And so, you have your tribe or your family at home or your social groups back home or wherever you're at. And it's cool to come to a new city and people can get out of that and form a quick bond and friendship in such a quick period of time being in a new city.
How long are your Entrepreneur House like trips?
So I've ran them as long as 3 months and as short as 1 month. And I'm going to start doing just 1 month houses. The one in Rio we're doing for 2 months just because I've never been to Brazil and I want to spend a little bit more time down there. But when we come back to Barcelona, we'll have 1 month.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what made you decide to make them shorter now?
I wanted to include more, I guess you could call it like impact education. So for the one in Chiang Mai, we brought in advisors. And so we had advisors who were $500,000 or higher with their businesses. And they could come in and they could sit down with these guys and have one-on-ones with them and sit there and chat about growing their business, where their goals are, and how they could catapult it. And I wanted to create it, just bring it up a little bit on the learning and growing as a business aspect of the house and their stay there. And that's the main reason. Also, honestly, people get tired of living with each other after a month or so. It doesn't matter who you live with. It doesn't matter your roommate, your family. You're always going to get a little exhausted of being around people after a while. And so a month is a good amount of time where people can form really good friendships, start partnerships, create products together, create podcasts together, whatever they want. And then at the end of it, go and back to wherever they want to go and still continue to work together, have those friendships. So that's another reason.
I mean, I can imagine a lot of people might just end up staying either close by or the same city and say, well, I like it here. Now that I've gotten all these ideas, met all these people, maybe I'll just stay and work for a while.
Yeah, well, Aaron's actually doing that. And a couple other guys that came to Chiang Mai, they got their own apartments and they're staying longer and they're going to do some work and hang out together.
That's cool to hear. So, Aaron, what are your plans now? I mean, so what are your kind of favorite things about Chiang Mai and what made you decide to stay longer and how long are you staying?
So I actually would have stayed, I don't know, 4 more months. The only thing is that my friend decided to get married on New Year's Eve. So I'm going back to the States for his wedding. And my rule is I don't want to come back to a place because there's so many places to see. So I would have literally stayed in Chiang Mai probably like maybe 4 or 5 months total. As long as I was able to, because Chiang Mai is a really crazy city. I think the people here that it attracts are my kind of people. So they're business minded. Well, at least in this group, they're very business minded, and they're also adventurous. And so I mean, those are the people I like to hang around with. So that's the biggest thing, and it's fun like driving around in a scooter or just like Yeah, just eating. And what I mean, the biggest thing for me that changed my life was not cooking. And so I've definitely gotten spoiled of not cooking at all, because before I like to eat healthy, and typically to eat healthy, I cook for myself, but it takes so much time. And so here, I've really gone accustomed to just going out, getting some nice rice and vegetables and chicken and stuff, and it's super cheap. So.
Yeah, definitely. So what are the downsides of Chiang Mai kind of compared to some of the places you've been?
Well, for me, it's definitely the dating scene. So I like American girls, and the American girls that typically run through here are backpackers and hippies, and that's cool and all. It's just not exactly my type of girl. So the dating scene definitely has a downside for some guys. For some guys, they love it. It's definitely like some guys just love the dating scene here. For me, it's not so much. And other than that, I think that's really like the only downside for me, because everything else sounds pretty good.
I've actually heard that from a few people, where their idea of dating or having fun going out is going to like a nightclub. There's lots of people. There's hundreds of people you could talk to. Chiang Mai is more of a place where like you might meet a handful of really cool girls that are more into yoga than they would be like putting on high heels and dancing.
Right.
I know that there's plenty of guys, who they're like, that's awesome. I don't want to go to a nightclub. I don't want to pop bottles. I don't want to like dress up. I just want to like chill, have a picnic. So for those guys, they love it here. But then I would say for the guys who enjoyed I don't want to say like the more Western style of dating, but it's a big city style dating. They much prefer Saigon or Bangkok. Mm-hmm. And you said that you enjoyed it in Barcelona. What was that like?
So yeah, in Barcelona, Barcelona ended up having a girlfriend for pretty much the entire time I was there, and so that was really cool. So yeah, we'd go out together. We would go to the beach. I saw her pretty frequently all the time, so that was cool. So in Barcelona there were lots of girls around everywhere. You'd walk out on the street and there'd be like, you could go talk to like so many girls that and they had like every single variety possible of women. So everybody could have they did have the yoga girls. They had the sophisticated classy girls. They had the party girls. And so they had pretty much everything that you could ask for.
And it's in Europe, so you have a train ride away for the weekend. You can be in any other city,
right? And
you can go party it up. So yeah, I can see why that would be a big benefit for especially a single guy.
Right.
What were the downsides of Spain?
I would say that. They did have some mountains. I'm more of an outdoors guy. I do like the beach. The beach was not my style of beach. The waves. I would rather be living in a place where where the ocean had some nice surfing waves. And so they didn't really have that. Mountains were, I guess they were close enough. Yeah, I guess you could go skiing like an hour away, which is cool. The downsides.
Too many topless girls on the beach.
Right. That was definitely too distracting for most guys.
You can't work on the beach at all.
Yeah, the downsides of Barcelona weren't. It does get super crowded in the summertime. Like you could hardly walk, and it does. And the weather. So in the wintertime too, it is a little chilly, but in the summertime it's beautiful. But then again, in the summer it gets packed with tourists in Barcelona.
How crazy is it that it's December in Chiang Mai and this is our winter, and it's like beautiful and sunny every day?
That's awesome. Yeah.
But actually, a lot of people come to Chiang Mai in December specifically because it is cooler. It doesn't mean it's cold. It just means it's like a kind of a nice chill almost. Where in the mornings and at night, you might wear like a very thin jacket, pretty much only if you're on a motorbike. But during the day, it's like you can walk around in a t-shirt and jeans or shorts, and it's like it's cool. It's comfortable,
Right. Yeah, it'll definitely be a shock going back to the States, and even to I'm from Texas, and even then it's cold in Texas.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Texas to see some friends for New Year's Eve. Nice. So I'm excited for that.
What city?
To Austin.
Ooh, Austin's one of my favorite places to go.
Well, actually, so the way that all this came about was I think I had messaged Anton, who announced that he got engaged. So congratulations, Anton. And I said, hey, what are your plans for Christmas? And he said, oh, I'm gonna go home to New York, but I'm thinking about just going for like 3 days because it's so cold there. And I said, you're crazy. You can't fly all the way to the U.S. for 3 days. Like, why don't you just go to Austin or somewhere and stay longer? And he's planning on moving there in September, so next year. And I told him, I was like, tell you what, I wasn't planning on going home for Christmas, but if you're going to go to Austin, I'll meet you out there. just so we can hang out for a few days. Because I think ever since, so even though I'm good friends with Anton, I haven't really seen him for a year. I saw him at the retreat for a few days, but he's busy with everyone. I didn't then for a year before that I didn't see him until the retreat before that, and the only real time since 2 years that we've hung out was when we went to Europe together. But then he had his girlfriend, I had a girlfriend, and we were both just we just got busy with life. So I actually don't even know until today it's if he's even going to Austin or not. But I got sick of waiting around, so I said, you know what? I have other friends. I'm just gonna make a trip to Austin. So nice. I've actually So I think it's the place I would live in the U.S. if I wasn't traveling.
Austin's definitely one of my top 3 places I would live in the States. I'd live there for 6 months, and I would consider. there's so much to do in Austin too. I had a blast in Austin. It's a great outdoor city, great business city, great nightlife city, great dating city. It's great.
What you said? There's 3 top choices that places that you would live in the U.S. What are the other ones?
Well, the other one's Denver, and the other one is to be discovered.
Okay, so why Denver?
Because so I lived in Denver for 4 years, and in Denver also has a big entrepreneur scene. They have the Rocky Mountains an hour and a half away. Big mountains. So downhill mountain biking, whitewater rafting, snowboarding, skiing, hiking for teeners, rock climbing. It's just the outdoor scene. And then they also have the business scene. And then Denver, it's a huge city, so they have everything that you need as far as everything a big city has to offer. And the dating scene was great too over there. And in Denver, I got real attached. I was in an improv group in Denver, Colorado, and that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had with a group of friends. Just improv, constantly all the time, and it was a lot of fun. So
I never considered Denver, but that sounds like a cool place, so I'll check that out. On my list of possible places I'll live is actually Salt Lake City, Utah.
Interesting.
And it's because I had met someone who was a snowboarding instructor, and they were saying that Salt Lake is the perfect place because it's, you're 20-30 minutes away from the slopes, but you can still live in the city. And the nice thing about living in the city is you're able to have a normal life. You can, go do stuff. Apartments are a lot cheaper because it's a city that people just live in. But you're still so close to the slopes that you can go every weekend. And I've actually never been snowboarding or skiing, but I figure if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. I want to take a few weeks or a few months even to learn. So there is a pretty good chance that in the next couple of years, maybe even next winter, I'm just going to spend the whole winter, maybe 2 or 3 months in Salt Lake. Yeah. So what about you, Chris? Where would you live in the U.S.?
My number 1 city would be San Diego. Just because San Diego has such a great vibe, warm weather and beach. I have a bucket list goal to spend. I'd like to spend 6 months in Telluride, Colorado. And I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's a really small ski town. And the vibe in the summer is it's got such a open-minded, really cool vibe. People are out riding beach cruisers and mountain bikes in the summer. They have ski lifts that can take your mountain bike to the top of the mountain for free, and you can just ride down and do some downhill mountain biking. People are playing softball in the park and frisbee, and everybody's just outdoors doing something. In wintertime, it becomes a ski resort. And the what's cool is it's kind of the perfect little small American town. They have these old, American style buildings on both sides with a downtown square. And then the depth of the valley that Telluride lies in is very, very, and the mountains are very steep on both sides. So it's an amazing little town. So
never heard of that. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I would actually definitely live in San Diego as well. It's actually my favorite place in California, and I've lived pretty much everywhere in California. Grew up in San Francisco, so I lived, been around the Bay Area quite a bit. Went to school in Orange County, lived in LA, and I lived in San Diego as well. And I think San Diego is the perfect mixture of being relatively affordable. It's a lot cheaper than all those other cities, but having great beach, having some nice mountains. But people are just laid back. People are cool.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's not as expensive and not as crazy. Slightly less traffic, just overall great. And I think it's actually easier to get from San Diego to San Francisco than even from LA. And it's actually cheaper if you fly.
Really?
And I think it's because it's too far of a drive, so no one drives, so you have to fly. And because of that, there's tons of routes. People are going up and down 8 times a day. You can fly to Vegas. You can drive to Mexico. But just even staying in San Diego is great.
I consider the vibe in San Diego very similar to Barcelona. And that's another reason why I like Barcelona is, it's a beach vibe. People are laid back in Spain, pretty chill. A lot of people in California are the people that have left their small towns throughout the U.S. or their towns that they didn't necessarily like to go to California for more opportunity, right? And it's the same in Barcelona, all throughout Europe. Even the Middle East and Africa, people leave their towns and their countries that they didn't have opportunity or they didn't like for whatever reason, and they go to a place like Barcelona. It's very international, and it has all people from all those regions there, and that kind of gives like a multicultural, international vibe there.
You know what? That's perfect. I like it. Unfortunately, the only reason why I'm not in San Diego is for tax reasons.
Yeah.
So one is paying, California state income tax.
It's big.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
Which I'm still paying for now because I'm still technically a resident of San Francisco. But I think as soon as this trip back, I'm going to legally move my residence to Texas. No state income tax. I haven't even been in California in 2 years, so why am I paying tax there, right?
Yeah.
And the second reason why I'm not in the U.S. is because of the foreign earned income tax exclusion. I don't know if either of you guys have you guys heard of it, or
I used it in 2012. I think I'm going to use it in 2016 also.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're going home for more than a month this time, right?
This time, but you can divide that up, so it doesn't
okay.
have to be necessarily in one stay in the U.S. You can, I'll be in the U.S. for just 2 weeks in 2016 this year. So as long as I don't get another, so that's 15 days. So as long as I don't spend another 20 days on U.S. soil, I can get the foreign earned income exclusion tax. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated, but it's been saving me quite a bit of money, so that's the other reason why I haven't been at home back to the US as often. But honestly, I kind of miss it, so I'm looking forward to going back. For those who want to meet up in person, I just sent out an email, so if you're not subscribed to the list, please go to johnnyfd.com or travellikeabosspodcast.com. We're going to do a meetup in Austin, Texas, in Los Angeles, and then in San Francisco. So for anyone who wants to just meet other listeners in person, maybe discuss some ideas. It'd be like a 2-hour version of the Entrepreneur House. So you can get a taste of what it's like. And what'll be cool is you guys can kind of meet each other in person that are from the same city. And I bet you there's tons of people listening right now that have no idea there's other people in the same city also listening to this. So if you want to join for that, we have our Facebook group. It's Travel Like a Boss Army. You can look there, or just sign up for the mailing list and you'll get details for that. So Chris, what are your plans moving forward? Kind of any last words for everyone?
Yeah, so I'm just I'm gonna keep doing houses, and anybody out there that wants to come along, you're more than welcome. I'm sure we can get contact information, and just for anybody out there that's waiting to make the leap, I say JFDI, just freaking do it, and go travel the world. Hang out with Johnny, hang out with me, hang out with Aaron. We're open and would love to meet everybody.
I like it. And so people want to reach out to you or check out your website, what would that be?
TheEntrepreneurHouse.com.
Okay.
That's
Very
the best
cool.
place. Contact information there.
Very cool. So Aaron, what are your plans and how can people reach you?
Yeah, so over the next few months, we're going to be cranking away at our business. We have a lot of projects coming up. So so again, you guys can find me at theattractiveman.com. We show guys how to meet girls in everyday situations. And we have a lot of boot camps coming up. We just got featured on ABC Nightline, so that was pretty big for us. And so we're definitely moving with that momentum. But yeah, I'll continue traveling, and I hope to see you guys somewhere in the world.
All right, thanks for being on the show. Peace out, everyone. And by the way, we are almost coming up to our 100th episode. And if you go to travellikeabosspodcast.com, you're going to see a link that says 100th episode. And in there, you're going to be able to be on the show. So all you have to do is submit a 1-minute recording of you just saying what's up, where you're from, and how this show has impacted your life, either travel or entrepreneur journey. And you can just record it on your phone. So if you have any smartphone, just use your voice memo app. Give a quick shout out, and you can email it to me at johnny@travellikeabosspodcast.com. Or if you go on travellikeabosspodcast.com, click the episode 100 link. There's actually a built-in voice recorder on there. So obviously it'd be awesome if you have a great mic like one of the ones that we use for the podcast. But even if you're just using your phone, it's all good as well. And we're going to have a really, really cool 100th episode kind of featuring some of your recordings. So hope everyone is doing well. Chris and Aaron, thank you guys for being on the show again. And I'll see you guys all next week.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.